So it's interesting you bring that up. So I mean, obviously I'm constantly taking courses and stuff outside of actual production, and one of the things that came across in one of my directing courses is this concept of like, and this is one of these super simple statements that also means so much. What is that when you're directing something? What is the purpose of a shot? Why is that shot there? And if you can't answer that, maybe it shouldn't. And I've been guilty of this as myself, is like making films and I'm like, oh, I want this really cool dolly shot. And then you go, oh, I mean, it doesn't actually do anything except fucking look cool. And I agree with you. There's a lot of stuff in this that somebody was like, oh man, I watched this Grindhouse film and they did this camera movement. Let's do that. Oh, we watched a Grindhouse film and they did this camera movement. Let's do that. But they're not digging into, well, why are they doing that camera movement?
Weather's getting nicer. Flowers are beginning to bloom. It's a great time to go on a road trip. Because we're talking movies. We're talking Driveway Dolls, starring Margaret Qualley, Geraldine Viswanathan, I'm so sorry, and a bunch of fucking cameos. This movie was written by Tricia Cooke and Ethan Coen, who also directed. Chris, why would anyone want to go to Tallahassee, Florida?
Listen, I'm from Texas. We don't read minds. We operate on a handshake basis.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of How'd You Like That Movie? We are going to be talking about Ethan Coen's first real narrative film on his own, Driveway Dolls from 2024. So, Scott, why don't you jump in the driving seat and drive us away?
So, Chris, a root canal, a vasectomy, having my nails pulled out of my fingers. That is stuff I would rather do than watch this fucking movie again.
I feel like we're in agreement.
This is hell.
Yeah, man. For his first one out, let's just say maybe his brothers, should be a part of it. Because for the guys who brought you, fucking No Country for Old Men, fucking True Grit, like amazing fucking
The Big
movies.
Lebowski, like
yeah, I can't, like, this seemed to me like it was like a Wes Anderson film that just like went off the rails. Because what your complaint was for Astro City is technically exactly what I found with this one. It's just like everybody was, with the exception of one person, everybody was deadpan, same monotone kind of delivery, and it was a story that fucking went nowhere. Like, there was no journey here.
Well, I mean, there is a journey. It's just a nonsensible journey of any. I mean, the characters technically end up in a different place, like physically. They emotionally end up in different places. Okay, so it's definitely got like early Coen brothers like vibes going on, like kind of like Raising Arizona, kind of even Big Lebowski, like that kind of kook. You know how like the Coen brothers, like No Country for Old Men is like very serious. And then they also have like their kooky stuff like Fargo and the Big Lebowski. So it definitely has like like I said, Raising Arizona, Big Lebowski vibe. But I think one of the big challenges is the fact that yes, this is the first time that Ethan is directing a narrative by himself. He did do Jerry Lee Lewis, The Trouble in Mind for A24. But I mean, that's a documentary, right? So we're talking about a totally different animal. The big challenge, though, I think is he's doing his first narrative on his own, but more importantly, his wife is like writing on this, Tricia Cooke, who is primarily an editor. Like, this is really her first feature. And they actually have another one coming up called Honey Don't, which maybe Honey Don't after watching this. She was the editor on The Big Lebowski and Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And The Man Wasn't There, and a bunch. She was the associate producer on some of the earlier work, but this is her first like big like feature writing credit. And I'm like, okay, so you've got, and so her personal life is she's queer. They actually have like a polyamorous relationship. So I'm like, okay, so that's where the LGBTQ story is coming from. I think the original title of this was supposed to be Drive Away Dykes. But he's surely kind of like trying to infuse his writing sensibilities into it. And like none of it works. Like none of this film works at all. I mean, there's some funny points at points, but for the most part, it's just a colossal mess, which is interesting too, because she's also, like I said, primarily an editor. And I just don't know if like there's too many like new people. There's too many people doing things they don't normally do. Plus, you're married to each other. So I don't know.
I'm telling you no.
Look out, guys. Here it comes.
Like him and his brother, they have clearly worked out a system to direct. And I just don't think that they have that together as a couple. And I mean, there's a quote from him that where he says, his wife in every way except the name is co-director of this movie. Okay. How long have you been making movies with your brother? How long did it take to like get that kind of synergy? Nothing works in this film. I mean, there's some interesting cinematography from Ari Wagner, who does awesome work in Lady Macbeth. One of my favorite films, Zola. Definitely check that out. Take a listen to our show on Zola. Also got an Oscar nod for The Power of the Dog. Basically, one of the only things good about The Power of the Dog was the cinematography. But yeah, like hands down, fucking pointless movie. Just a fucking colossal mess. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead, Scott. I don't know.
No, I don't want to bash too much because I'm not a dick like you.
Hey, you, let's fight.
Them's fighting words.
Yeah, like I agree. Like from like pretty much beginning to end, I was just like, it didn't hold my interest as I thought it would. And it just seemed like it was taken from kind of the David Lynch kind of thing, like, okay, we're just going to write 7 scenes and kind of just put them together and that's our movie, right? Because it just seemed like that's what it was. And that's what I mean, like there was no journey. It just seems like, okay, we need a scene of college soccer players making out because that's apparently what college lesbian soccer players do. So they're just going to go make out. Be like, okay, we're going to need a sex scene, right? The intercutting, like finding out what the lava lamp like 70s intercut was in between scenes, that.
Sorry, did you actually figure out what that was? Because I didn't. The one with Miley Cyrus?
That's the Senator's LCD trip in the 70s.
Oh, LSD trip.
That's his trip.
Okay, right? Wow, you picked that. I was like, what is this? What the fuck is the point of this?
Yeah, that was his trip. That apparently that's when you find when you find out what's in the achete, right? Like that, you're just like, okay, kind of thing.
Yeah, why did it have to be that? Like, why couldn't it just like, okay, if we were gonna make this properly, I think the whole like female road movie, a case, you pick up the wrong car, like, fine. Maybe just do that. It's almost like they tried to do too many things and none of them hit. Go ahead. Go ahead.
They did do that. And it was Ridley Scott and it was called Thelma and Louise. Just fucking go watch that movie.
It is a good film, actually.
but yeah, like once you find out what's in the achete, you're just like, okay, whatever. And then it just made everything like, I think every reveal just became anticlimactic, right? There was no like, oh wow, like even the ending and like spoilers. So Matt Damon is a senator going for re-election, so it's not even like he's trying, like he's already been elected. People know who the fuck he is. So he's going to just put a ski mask on. And if his thing worked, he was just going to put a ski mask on, kill 2 people, and just walk away in a club full of people and eyewitnesses that would have seen him leave with the ashate and then come back with the ashate, except now he just has a ski mask. Like, to me, that it is just like, okay, we just need to wrap this up. How are we going to wrap it up quickly?
Well,
right?
and you know, both him and Pedro Pascal, like, what the fuck do you need those cameos for? Like, it's just like, it's a flex. Like, I'm one of the Coen brothers, and look what I can do. Like, oh, look, I got Miley Cyrus over here. I was just like, whoopity-doo! Honestly, like, just cast fucking regular actors. Like, don't worry about trying to bring in some big guns that are going to do nothing, because they feel like they're doing nothing. Like, there's no extra value for them being there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree.
So when you say the one person, so who was it that you thought did a great job? Because I actually thought that
I didn't say a great job. I just said somebody actually emoted, and that was Margaret.
Qualley.
Yeah, she was the only one that like seemed like she wasn't monotone, right? Like she will, like, you know, Curly behind me. I think he was the best part of that fucking movie, because he was just like, "Don't call me Curly," because that seems,
Which is also in the trailer.
Don't call me Curly.
And your name, Curly?
My name is Curly. We just met. It's too familiar.
Like, it's again, it's another one of these. Probably the best stuff is just like watch it a couple times, the trailer, and you'll be happier than watching this whole film. So Margaret, it's interesting. So she was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. She plays Pussycat, and she basically plays a similar version of that character. In that one, basically, one of the lines I really remember is when she says to Brad Pitt, "I'm old enough to fuck you, but you're too old to fuck me." Like, she plays one of the Manson girls.
yeah.
And then in Poor Things, she also had like, I think she's got to be very careful she doesn't end up playing just like the erratic woman character. I do like
she
her.
was, she was really good in the Netflix show The Maid. If you haven't watched that,
That's right. She is in that. I forgot about that. That's a really good show. Point taken. She's also the daughter of Andy McDowell. Like, it's again another one of these like nepo babies. It's like, god damn it. Like, breaking into Hollywood's hard enough, like, especially when you're competing against people whose like parents basically run the fucking place. But I mean, this thing, I cannot believe this only has an 84-minute running time, because I felt like I was watching it forever. Like, like an acid trip that you can't get off. I was like, holy shit, is this a 3-hour movie? No, it's actually like a super short film that just feels like it's taking forever.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, and I don't think, like, like in terms of Rotten Tomatoes, you got a 63 by critics and a 36 by the audience there.
Which is spooky that you can just invert those numbers.
Okay. But yeah, like I think it's total agreement here. Like, there wasn't anything here that kind of like held my interest. Like, even the two like
like the B story, criminals coming to get them kind of storyline there.
Yeah, like even that, right? And then when that blows up, they just have that little dialogue scene that's off to the side, and it's like the one guy is confessing his love to the other one, like, "I just did that to keep us awake, but you liked it, you admit it, you like," and then he just shoots people and then runs away with the gun. He was gonna plant the gun on the one guy, so it makes it seem like it's a murder suicide, but then when it's out of bullets, he's like, "I'm just gonna run away with the gun. Now it's just a murder."
Yeah.
But like I didn't get it at all, right? I just think it was, I just think it was bad. And I apologize, because I know it takes a lot to get the stuff done, and a lot of people
does it when you're one of the Coen brothers, does it take a lot to get done?
Still, like, you still gotta do it. Like, you, even if you are part of the Coen brothers, like, you still got to sell it. Like, you still need people to buy into it and buy the movie, and people to distribute the movie, and everybody's as much as you want to say like their blood, sweat, and tears went into it. Like they like like I'm gonna assume wholeheartedly they're like, you know, this is the best draft of the best product we can do, and we're gonna put our best foot forward, and we're gonna bring our best product, right? But yeah, I just think that it got tangled somewhere in there that, you know, whether it's the same conversation we had with House of Cards when Buddy's dealing with his wife, maybe you're just like, okay, I don't want to say no to her because
She's my wife.
you know, I gotta
She's
sleep
my
beside her.
wife.
Yeah, you know, be like, honey, you know, you do great. And that's the thing. Like, I know you're saying like prior to this was her first written screen, but as an editor, like you're visually cutting that story together all the time. And if you look at the stuff she edited prior, like
It's fantastic.
yeah, exactly. So like you can see that she is able to,
but you can only edit what you have. Right? So if you have shitty dialogue, all the fucking editing magic in the world is not going to fix that. If you don't have the right shots, you have nothing to fucking edit together. So like if you don't have a proper fucking story, you can go all crazy with your editing process. You're still only going to do so much, right?
Yeah, I agree. Well, maybe she didn't edit this together, did she? Like they had another editor, correct?
No, I think she's the primary editor on this film.
Oh, as well. Oh, okay.
So I mean, so again, I guess if I guess the best way that they could have approached this is because I'm assuming the story came directly from her. Because I mean, I don't think he has a whole lot of experience being a lesbian woman. And I mean, she definitely quotes a lot of like old school grindhouse type stuff like Faster Pussycat Kill Kill Kill, which is a very cool film. Alice doesn't live here anymore, but I'm a cheerleader. Okay, that's fine. Those are great starting points. The Coen brothers, again, but Ethan and Joel both know tons of great screenwriters. They're in Hollywood. Just go get like a really dope, if you want specifically like an LGBTQ, like go get a lesbian screenwriter. Sit down, do your writing team there, and don't try and make a Coen brothers film, because that's what there seems to be this. They're trying to intersect like this. It's almost like it's a lesbian Coen brothers film, and neither of those works. So and maybe don't have your husband direct it. You know what I mean? Like just what be in service of your story, not in your household fucking project, I guess. I mean,
so
yeah.
To ask you a question. So he does this one, his first, and his brother does Tragedy of Macbeth.
Yeah, which is a very cool film.
But what I'm saying is but we also did have like we enjoyed it, but we also had issues with it as well. Tragedy of Macbeth.
Sure, but I mean, our issues with it were not that. I think that he got exactly the film he wanted, which is he wanted a German expressionist style Macbeth, and he's got that. I mean, Macbeth's not a super exciting story. I know there's lots of killing and notable quotables in it, but it's actually not a super fun and jazzed up kind of script. So, I mean, I think he did fine. I mean, I'm much less critical of the Tragedy of Macbeth than I am of this absolute piece of dog shit.
So where I was going to go with it. So I was going to say, do you think after they did these, they're like, you know, it's like, you know, a band, you know, they go do their solo record after, and then they come back and do like fucking No Country for Old Men 2. Be like, this is what we can still do, motherfuckers. Do you think they come back? And
I mean, the rationale that was given by both brothers to why they're currently not making films together is just that the last couple films were really hard on them and hard on their relationship, as you know, in post and just the whole production of it. So, I mean, they're rich, they're famous, they've got awards. I mean, it's cool. Like, I guess it's groovy, man. Like, you want to go do your own thing? I'm here for you. But especially because if you were not Ethan Coen, you're not going to get the same level of criticism. You know, a great attempt by a first-time director, blah, 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 blah. But you are one of the Coen brothers. You had access to actors. You had access to all the stuff that Hollywood can give you. And this is what you put out.
That is one big pile of shit.
You know better. When you read that script, you should have known better. Like they have Oscars for screenplays. Like, you know what I mean? Like you get no pass. You know, you're not getting any fucking give from film critics on this, which I'm surprised that the film critics are even giving it as high as it did, man. Like the audience fucking butchered this thing. 36 is not anywhere close to an appropriate score for someone of this level of talent.
Yeah, yeah, I'd agree. But yeah, like some of the shots, some of the stuff that were done, it did seem like, to me, I'm like, oh, this is kind of like film school kind of thing. Like when they're in that like car and it's like swerving and it's just like the shot from underneath showing it up and it's just like them jerking that way and then screaming that way. I was just like, oh yeah. I'm like, okay. I'm like, this is something that Chris Langford would direct. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, actually, so it's interesting you bring that up. So, I mean, obviously, I'm constantly taking courses and stuff outside of actual production, and one of the things that came across in one of my directing courses is this concept of like, and this is one of these super simple statements that also means so much. What is that when you're directing something? What is the purpose of a shot? You know, why is that shot there? And if you can't answer that, maybe it shouldn't. And I've been guilty of this as myself, is like making films and I'm like, oh, I want this really cool dolly shot. And then you go, oh, I mean, it doesn't actually do anything except fucking look cool. And I agree with you. There's a lot of stuff in this that somebody was like, oh man, I watched this Grindhouse film and they did this camera movement. Let's do that. Oh, we watched a Grindhouse film and they did this camera movement. Let's do that. But they're not digging into, well, why are they doing that camera movement? Some of it was just maybe because it was the 70s and they've got a low budget and so they're running and gunning. And so you get a bunch of like, you know, camera movement. Or is it an artistic choice? But again, because this is Ethan Coen, you don't get a pass on, I get it, it's your first film. Like, you fucking know how to direct a film.
I was going to say, you can't really say it's his first film, though. It's his first film by himself, but...
No, that's what I mean.
But even still, like, it's not his first film. He's directed a shit ton of films, even co-directed it. Like, he co-directed a shit ton of films.
You don't get the it's my first film pass. Like, right. You don't get, it is not your first film. And I almost feel like it's a cop-out. I mean, I should have looked at like when he made this quote about like saying that his wife is the co-director and everything but name. Because it was like, were you the director? And then it's being shit. And now it's like, well, I mean, we co-directed and she's not as experienced. Like, again, maybe he should have put on like, you know, really like said, hey, I'm going to direct this since this is your first like major screenplay. And it's got to be, again, even when I watched this though, I knew going in that it was Ethan's film. And when I saw what the content was, like how like hardcore, specifically like lesbian it was, I didn't know that his wife had written it at the time. And I was like, yo, what the fuck is this dude doing directing this film? And again, I think there's always a place for like men to be doing, you know, female content and female to be doing male content. This is pretty specific. So maybe he, A, should not have fucking directed this. And like I said, B, she should have worked with another screenplay writer, shared writing credits, and made a better fucking screenplay.
Well, maybe what that quote you're saying he did, maybe that's how this movie got made. Maybe she wrote it, wanted to edit it, but she also wanted to direct it, and no one wanted to pick it up. And he was like, all right, I'll put my name on this. And he was just sitting in his director's chair and letting her do everything. And he was just there as, hey, good job, honey. Or, hey, I would recommend doing this. Maybe take this shot, right?
Well, and maybe, listen, maybe you're right. That I could totally see that playing out. But guess what? Now that your name is on this as a director, you're the one who's going to get the fucking criticism and not her. So it'll be interesting to see how they approach their upcoming film. Because they're the Honey Don't. She's writing on it again. He's directing. It's got Margaret Qualley again. So I know like the Coen brothers like to work with the same people all the time. So maybe they're trying to go down that route. And again, maybe the next film is like fantastic. And, you know, your sophomore film is better than your original film. That's great. But honestly, this is not a good film. I don't recommend it really for any reason at all.
So I was looking up. I was looking up this Honey Don't because you just mentioned it. So did you read what the tagline or synopsis?
No. Like the synopsis is.
Yeah. So okay, you ready?
Yeah, go.
So Coen's new film continues his B movie trilogy, or his lesbian B movie trilogy after Drive Away Dolls, centering on two women on a road trip.
For fuck's sakes.
Oh, déjà vu.
So this
You know
one
what?
has
Just don't release it. Just don't
okay.
fucking release it. Okay.
So this one has Margaret Qualley,
Mhm.
Aubrey Plaza, and apparently Chris Evans.
And you know what? I don't know if I would want to put Audrey. It's Aubrey. It's Aubrey Plaza. I always got her name. Yeah. With Margaret Qualley. I think that they're both have very distinct, extreme acting kind of positions. And I don't think those are going to work together. I think it's going to be too much of a good thing put in a mix, and it's going to be like oil and water. Like I'll listen. I'm happy to be proven wrong, but I don't see those two working together, and especially because Aubrey Plaza, for the most part, I found has no ability to get outside of that weird range that she has, or weird acting performance she has, which is fine. It works when it works, but when it doesn't, it's fucking really bad. Yeah. Not excited for that.
Well, I was going to say that I think you missed on the point. It's a trilogy, so there's still one.
Yeah. Oh, I heard that part. Yeah, I was like,
but maybe they're
shit.
gonna Empire Strikes Back this shit, and like it just like fucking amazing, right? Like the sequel is amazing.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, this film, I don't actually have the budget for it, but it did have a negative pickup cost of 20 million, which is like. Not to like really wade into what a negative pickup costs, but it's kind of like a pre-sale, but it's not a pre-sale. It's basically the studio says, we're going to give you a fixed amount of money, which was $20 million once your film is done, versus pre-selling it in multiple markets. So essentially they got $20 million and this thing did 6.4.
Oh, no.
So yeah, hopefully they're able to like recoup some of the dosh. Selling it to streaming service. Where did you watch this, by the way? Did you see it in theater? Because it had a theatrical release.
I didn't watch it in theaters. No, I used my scene points to rent it.
And I feel like you should have gotten those scene points back.
I should have fucking gotten my scene points back. But
so
it is what it is.
I got nothing else to say. I am going to end on our quote. So unless you've got more to talk about, let me know.
Well, I got something to talk about, but it's not about this movie.
Okay, cool. So Kristen Lopez from The Wrap, she had this to say. There's little to get excited for watching Drive Away Dolls. Even though there's a lot of sex to presumably get the audience's blood pumping, the problem is it's all awash in an unfunny, non-existent plot line that feels about 15 years too late.
And that is our wrap for the day. Please like and subscribe to this podcast. Tell your friends. If you want to get a hold of us, reach us at the www.howdyoulikethatmovie.com. So at what point when you were invited to go watch Ripley at TIFF were you like, you know what? I should see if my co-host can also come, because he is part of the show too, and he also during that episode discussed how much he's looking forward to Ripley and checking it out. At what point were you like, fuck it?
No comment. I don't like this accusatory tone that is this is the end of the interview. No, the actual reason was,
you're like, I totally forgot about you.
It was like a media person. It was Heidi's media credentials +1. I was the +1.
Production by Rod Shaver, Vader Monkey Productions.